Thank you.
Thank you, Kalina. I don't know about you guys, but I feel every grandmother that ever has been, ever is, and ever will be with us right now. There's some potent energy. So Up to Us. Up to Us started, and I'm sorry some of you have heard this before, but for those of you who haven't, Up to Us started as a caravan across the country to keep people politically involved and engaged, because with all the voter suppression and fraudulent behavior in this, not only in this election, but in every election in the past few decades, a lot of people, thanks to Bernie Sanders, are finally standing up and saying enough is enough. And after the California primary, being someone who's in my mid-20s, I saw a lot of millennials, a lot of people, and not just millennials, a lot of first-time voters dropping out, saying, I'm done. And we felt like it was our responsibility, our civil duty, to keep people engaged, because that's the only way we're going to stand up for social justice and equality and planetary justice. And then there was events that occurred, like Orlando, like the shootings in Baton Rouge and Minnesota and Dallas and Fresno, and it goes on and on and on. And it became very apparent to us that this is not a political movement. This is a personal movement. This is not a political revolution. This is a personal revolution. There are a lot of corrupt officials in office. No one's denying that. But it's because we've allowed them to be corrupt. In 2000, when Bush got elected, and it was all over the news, different than this election, about what happened in Florida with the fraudulent behavior. Nobody stood up. Or if there were people who stood up, there wasn't enough of them. And it didn't, the momentum kind of died. It didn't continue going. Up to Us is here to remind all of us that if we have ever experienced any sort of suppression, any sort of sadness, any sort of hurt, then it's our responsibility for our future generations, for our neighbors, for our brothers and sisters, to stand together, unified, and to continue to show up. That's the only way we're going to foresee change. It's so much easier to go on social media and Twitter and be like, yes, I agree with this, or let me just retweet that petition, but I don't actually sign it. I don't know if anyone here has ever done that, but I know a lot of people who have. There's a big diff. That's great, and that's important, and social media connects us. But there's nothing like being in person, the tangibility that happens when you have a physical presence with someone. When you look into their eyes and you go, wow, I thought my life was hard. I'm seeing the pain in your eyes, and I can't let this continue. I don't agree with you. You may be a conservative and I'm a liberal. You might practice or pray to this God, and I might practice and pray to this God. We don't have to agree on anything, except that we're both human beings and we both have the right to happiness. And we both have the right to experience unconditional love. There's a lot of chaos. I was talking to a friend last night. We were just checking in with one another, and he was like, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm so good. I'm flying. I'm so happy. I was like, some of, Nice really messed me up after all of those shootings. And then you hear about this truck that drove into a crowd of people. And the other day when we kicked off the caravan, we were holding ceremony. We were all standing in a circle, and it felt really great. And I was like, during this caravan, there's probably going to be another shooting. And we walk out of the space we were holding, and 3 people had been shot in the news stories that had come out. And yeah, all over Germany. There's so many things happening, right? And I was like, it's affecting me, but I feel empowered because I feel like there's a chance to do something, but it's also still really sad and it's hard. And he was like, yeah, I totally feel you. He's like, but it's kind of funny, in our Western world, how it takes like a shooting in America, or it takes a event in Nice to sort of wake us up, when people in the Middle East, people all throughout Asia, 85, 300, 5,000 people, Africa, die every single day, and they get no media coverage. And it was an interesting perspective, for which of course I knew that, but it wasn't something that was in my linear thinking until he said that. I was having a conversation with someone earlier, And he brought up this beautiful metaphor. He's like, it's like we're like living in a snow globe right now. He's like, think of a snow globe. When you shake it up, it's chaotic and there's flakes everywhere and there's snow everywhere. But it has to get chaotic in order for it to settle and be beautiful. And that's the analogy of the snow globe. I feel like that's what's happening in our world right now. Everything is being shaken up. And it's scary and it's chaotic. But the only way to ensure stability again, the only way to ensure that stability is not like past stability, but that stability is grounded and rooted in ceremony, in truth, in source, in spirit, in love, is if we unite and stand together. I mean, how amazing is it that we're in Columbus, Ohio right now, a state I've never been to, a city that I've never been to. And we've had speakers up here. We've had somebody talk about Muslims. We have somebody talk about the LGBTQ community. We have people talk about people of color. We had a Native American up here singing an indigenous song. Something's different. Something is changing, and it's because of us. None of us in this room are the leader of this movement. None of us in the room or this beautiful outdoor room are the followers in this movement. We're all in it together. It's like geese, right? You got somebody at the top, and the second they get a little tired, they're like, oh, buddy, I gotta come back here. And the other one's like, I got you, don't worry. And then they just keep switching off. And while they're in the back catching up on rest, they're drafting off of one another. So they're still helping each other out. That's what we gotta be. We gotta be the geese. And we are the geese. Moving forward, you know, the DNC Philly tomorrow, we're almost there. There's going to be a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a lot of aggression. And I know for myself, I'm angry, and that's why I'm a part of this movement. I am so fed up with the establishment or the system or whatever you want to call it. It's not just one person. It's a collective of people who I truly believe have good hearts, but they are so disconnected. They are so disconnected from the lives that we all live, from the lives that 99% of America lives, that they actually they can't even see that what they're doing is hurting us. So we have to show up, because we still gotta be a brother and sister to them and be like, yo, maybe you don't understand, but I'm here to teach you. Just like Kalina, maybe we don't understand what it's like to be a Native American in America today, because it's never talked about. Their culture is never talked about. But she's willing to come out and say, I don't hold this against you, and you shouldn't feel guilty about this, but let me empower you with the knowledge of my story. So now you have the knowledge and you can make a choice, because once you know, you cannot unknow. And now we all know. So after the DNC, first in the DNC, again, the anger, the aggression, that's got to be there, because that's what's fueling the passion. But it's our responsibility to bring the ceremony. It's our responsibility when we see people getting a little hypey and getting a little out there, to look at them and go, yo, I see you and I understand your anger and I understand your pain, but let's transform that, because angry narratives never work. Angry narratives lead to violence. Angry narratives lead to shootings. What works is demanding and claiming your own narrative, one that's different than anything MSNBC or CNN or Hillary Clinton or even Bernie Sanders or Trump or the conservatives or the Democrats. It doesn't matter whose narrative it is. It has to be your narrative. And we really have to dig deep and think about what our narratives are. Someone up here earlier was like, when he was leading meditation, he said, what is the point in life? The point is to feel good. And so many people never experience that, because they're so disconnected from community, because they've never had someone who's looked them in the eye and gone, I see you and I got you and I don't even know you and I don't agree with you, but I'm here to tell you that you're loved and you're supported. That's what we got to do. That's how we got to show up. And that's our job at the DNC at Philly. We are peacefully protesting to show the world that you can make a change with love. Yeah. And this is, you know, this is different. This is different than anything that I've ever read about, anything that I've ever experienced, because I really think people are ready to do that. It's so easy to come to gatherings like this and be like, oh, I feel so much love. We had meditation, we've had singers, it's beautiful out, there's fireflies. But then you get in the arena and you feel that energy spiraling out of control of everyone being like, screw this, F that, I'm done with this. And it's easy to be absorbed in that. It's really easy. It's easy to wake up every day and complain. It's easy to wake up every day and say, I want to change. But it's not easy and it's not comfortable to stand up and to talk to your... I'm not a public speaker. I'm an actor. I'm an artist. This is not what I necessarily signed up to do. But it's uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, I've empowered myself to go, wow, I can do something a different way. And we can all do something a different way. But it's not easy. Change isn't easy, and that's why so many people resist it. Because it's so much simpler to keep everything the same. When you change something, you gotta dissect it, you gotta pull it apart, figure out what's not working, what is working, take little bits from here and there and combine it. We're kind of like scientists right now. We're in a giant experiment. It's so dope. This is so cool. We don't know what we're doing. We're just showing up. And that's the point. We gotta keep showing up. Okay, so I would like, I feel like I've spoken enough. I would like everyone who has helped organize this caravan from day one to come up and join me, because we have most of our organizers here. Joey Montoya, Kalina Lawrence, Malia Holman, Johnny Mischief, Ann Finance, Heidi Harmon. These people, you guys, for 3 weeks, got a phone call. 3 weeks ago, got a phone call saying, hey, we have this vision of doing this crazy caravan across the country. We've never really organized anything before. Are you willing to work full-time without making $1 and losing a lot of sleep and calling a lot of strangers to make this happen? And they did. They showed up, and they're still showing up.